Good morning. Today we finish off our Bavarian style castle and give it a name. Welcome back to MorningCraft. So in the previous episode I built this castle, and in the episode before that I built the fortress upon which it sits. But these walls of white concrete are very bare and boring, and so it's time to spruce them up with other materials. I'm not actually going to use spruce. I started off by adding a bunch of windows and adding 2 extra towers on the front of the building. These have white terracotta instead of white concrete, which adds a little bit of extra detail to the front of the building. But there's a whole bunch more to do, so let's get on with the build. I really like these windows. I think they really bring the front of this building to life. And we've got a lower set of windows here and a stairway made of sandstone. I then put some windows on the left side of the building here and round the edges of it. And it's amazing how just carving out some simple windows can add so much detail to a build. I also added some extra detail to some of the towers using some diorite stairs. I really like this castle. I feel like it's a nice accompaniment to the white of the cathedral, although it's using a different material. But one of the things I want for this building is a bunch of trees surrounding it. I think if I build a nice forest on top of the ridge, it'll really add to it, but I need to make sure that none of the trees are too close to the fortress, as you could just climb up the tree. You can see I added some mud brick to the tallest tower to add a little bit of extra detail. I also added some waxed exposed copper trapdoors and some jungle trapdoors to help fill out the brown areas where the mud brick sits. And then as night came about, I added a bunch of lighting to really help this castle pop, even in the evenings. I'm uploading this episode for Friday, so let me know if you have any nice weekend plans. But here you can see a few trees which I've added to the side of the building to make it a little bit more interesting and varied. The back of the building is still very plain, but I'll come back to this at another point. But while I do like the castle so far, and I do like these trees, we definitely need a bunch more trees and vegetation for it to look as good as it can. Although the way the sun carves over the roof with these light rays is pretty pleasing. But I came back to the building, added a few vines, a few flower beds, and some crenellations to the side of the fortress. And overall, I'm pretty pleased with this build. It feels like something you'd see in a Disney movie, although it is based off a real castle. It's in Germany, so I should probably go and visit it, as it's not that far away. But I don't really have time to make any trips. Maybe one day soon. But you can see here, Thaldrim is absolutely full of light. Really feels like a city now. And I think it might be pretty close in scale to Mornington. It still needs a few more things, but it really is a giant city at this point.
In the unparalleled darkness of midnight, Victor Armstrong helped Struppy into the city, and once within, he searched for the dog. He met the dog in the smouldering ruins of Earl Stonehelm's hearth. The dog did not recognize this man. He was covered in armor, but this armor was not the armor of a humble citizen or a traveling merchant. This was an enemy, for sure. The dog could see the tension in the man's chest. This could only mean one thing. The fighting was intense and furious, each locked so intently on disarming or harming the other that each wick of flame and glowing patch of smolder surrounding them seemed dim and cool. As Struppy fell, he did not scream nor bleed. Instead, he simply faded out of existence, leaving only a head. The dog couldn't help but feel he had fought some kind of projection or apparition.
So our castle and our cathedral are two siblings sitting on either side of the veil. And as night turns to day, we can see the city of Thaldrim glowing in an entirely new way. I've really been enjoying the builds we've been doing here, from and since the cathedral. There was definitely a bit of a lull between the monastery and the cathedral, in which we were just sort of building things to help fill in space as we prepared for bigger projects. But now I feel that Thaldrim has sort of come to maturity and we're able to work on whatever we want. But speaking of coming to maturity, I hope that your day evolves from a wonderful morning into the very best of days, and hopefully a great weekend too. Have a very Merry Christmas, and I'll see you in the next episode. Peace out.